right, we're now live. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Twitter space. I'm thrilled to be discussing all things crypto, blockchain, and NetFlowCoin. I am NetFlowCoins CMO, Frederick Bravey, and today I will be explaining how NetFlowCoins protocol will assist in building Web 3.0. At the end, I will open the floor for questions from our audience. So let me dive in. Before I begin, this month, NetFlowCoin has some very exciting news as we will be joining the Bitmart exchange and will be our debut ICO launch. And that launch will commence on the 22nd of March. So we're very excited about that coming up. Anyway, let me jump back to our discussion about Web 3.0. Ultimately, when we look at Web 3.0, no one can really tell for sure what Web 3 will eventually end up looking like. But there are prevalent characteristics that we see forming today. NetFlowCoin's SDVN P2P communications network fits perfectly into the structure of what will eventually be the new internet, known as Web 3.0. Before we dive into it, it'll be good to highlight what these characteristics are. Firstly, in my opinion, Web 3 will be both decentralized and centralized. The reason being is that every node within the network will act as their own centralized location. Secondly, the highest form of Web 3 could come in the form of a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. Ultimately, a decentralized network and its consensus mechanisms are basically a new form of governance. If, for example, a new company structure can be formed under the governance mechanism, then we could begin seeing companies being built and run by a group of individual stakeholders, all voting on a company's direction. Third characteristic will be privacy. And this is a very appealing characteristic to users today, whereby a user would have the choice on whether they would like to remain anonymous, partially anonymous, or completely open across a Web3 network. But the underlying principle is that the option will be determined by the user and not the behemoth giants that have dominated the legacy Web 2.0. Fourthly, all digital assets will be owned by the users, and any value that that data asset produces will be given to the producer or the owner. Just look at NFTs, for example. A whole token that assigns ownership to one individual. And that individual can either rent their NFTs or sell them if or when they please. The digital asset that is owned by the individual will be the individual's alone. Lastly, sustainability will be at the forefront of the Web3 network. As a distributed, decentralized network of edge nodes and computing processing, it will be almost impossible to shut down any type of application hosted on a strong network. When we load an application, like a game, it can get bottlenecked by too many users or a central server downtime. In a Web3 architecture, this can be avoided as the application will split and be stored on multiple devices and nodes, ensuring zero downtime. Of course, this depends entirely on the layer 1 network it is hosted on. So, after going through these characteristics, where does NetFlowCoin fit in? In simple terms, NetFlowCoin is not just a cryptocurrency, but instead an ecosystem of millions of distributed nodes that communicate in a P2P network. Each node has a storage capacity and a contributing bandwidth feature that not only acts as a CDN, content distribution network, but also as a network that can increase data speeds if and when needed. As the as the Web3 would need a large amount of distributed data storage, then NetFlowCoins network fits perfectly into this space. By distributing data, or DApps, decentralized applications, across its network, enabling users to connect and use without any third-party interference. So let's take a GameFi application, for example. Imagine a game that can be duplicated and stored across hundreds of decentralized nodes. We can call these nodes servers, if you will. And if one of these servers, in essence a node, right, the server, goes down or goes offline, the game can still run. Now, let's expand our horizon even further and involve a metaverse GameFi application. Imagine we had thousands of servers, again, nodes, distributed across the planet, and each server hosted a very specific section of the game, like an undiscovered area of a map. In theory, developers are now no longer confined by the storage space a game needs, nor bandwidth, as a user can travel across each node in the network, exploring an almost limitless world within the game's metaversal application. And using the same example, the same can also be said for any virtual environment. We could, in theory, now create a world that has never existed before due to this distributed storage network that is made up of hundreds of thousands of nodes. And by utilizing NetFlowCoin's ecosystem, this reality can be realized, deployed, and used. Transactions are another key aspect of scalability and, of course, Web3, especially in the crypto world. I mean, although Ethereum brought us smart contracts and they are a very good chain, they are overly priced and they are slow as hell. ETH's Ethereum's TPS is only 2 or 3 transactions per second, and that is horrid. The NetFlow coin, in contrast, our TPS speed is hundreds. So imagine our ecosystem is like a Filecoin, Ethereum, and Solana network all meshed up together, but on steroids, with a hell of a lot more maneuverability. As developers, our chain is interoperable with the Ethereum network. So not much coding would be needed to switch or host an application across our network. But now, if we go back to Web3, we also talk about security. And our SDVN P2P communications network has actually been developed upon and already been used by third-party developers who have been serving Fortune 500 companies as a cybersecurity communications layer. And this cybersecurity function is built into the NetFlowCoin ecosystem, making our network almost, and I say almost as I have to, but realistically impossible to hack, as the SDVN network creates an unlimited amount of layers that a hacker would need to go through in order to crack it, plus altering the chain, so pretty much impossible. So as an overview of a true blockchain project, is it decentralized? Yes, NetFlowCoin is. Is a blockchain project secure? Well, due to our SDVN network, yes. one of the most secure blockchains globally? And is a blockchain project scalable? I believe we have established that the NetFlowCoin network is completely scalable due to our millions of nodes and our millions of users today. As a distributed, decentralized content distribution, storage, hosting, communications, and bandwidth network, that's what makes NetFlowCoin. NetFlowCoin is and will become one of the front-end foundations to support Web3, the decentralized metaverse, and any and all decentralized applications that come with it. So that's a bit of an overview about NetFlowCoin and how it fits into Web3 and how it's laying down the fundamental foundations that we're going to see in the future, especially in the metaverse, GameFi, DeFi. We are one of the front runners for being a leader in the Web3 space. So I will now open up the floor for a short Q&A if anybody would like to ask me a question. Just so you know, this space is recorded and will be made available to any of you that have missed it. I know a lot of you are on a lot of different time zones. But if you have missed it, you can head over to our Buzzsprout podcast page. So you can just go to buzzsprout.netflowcoin.com. So yeah, I'll open it up to any questions. Anyone want to raise their hands or ask me anything about NetFlowCoin? Just a quick reminder, next Tuesday, so the 22nd of March, we will be going live on the Bitmart exchange. So we'll be launching our ICO. We have been, of course, NetFlowCoin has been under development for the last 2 years. That's the founding of the NetFlowCoin project. However, our SDVN communications network has been developed and used for the last 10 years. And we have accumulated over about 3.6 million nodes of nodes using the SDVN network. And when we launch and our mainnet becomes public so people can join as miners, all these 3.6 million nodes will have the opportunity to convert into NetFlowCoin miners. And if we only get 10, 20% of these nodes converted, this will make us the biggest blockchain in the globe. So NetFlowCoin is a very exciting project. We most certainly see a lot of potential into the future. Of course, the metaverse and Web3 is our ultimate goal, not just the cryptocurrency. The NetFlowCoin is and only will be used to purchase services and goods across the ecosystem, across the network. But ultimately, the long-term vision for us is to lay down the foundation of Web3 and hopefully host a series of different metaverse applications, different decentralized apps from all over the globe. So I'll give it another couple of minutes, and if there are no questions, absolutely not a problem. As I said before, this is recorded, and we will send this over to our podcast page. So listeners can listen later on. All right then, I'll leave it there. Again, if there are no questions, not a problem. And well, thank you very much for everybody who was listening. We will be running these weekly podcasts, and it's a great opportunity. I'll usually open up with an explanation about one subject or one part of NetFlowCoin, and then it will go on to more of an AMA, right? So if there are questions or anything that our community wants to ask me, that's absolutely fine. You can find me every Friday around this time and ask any questions that you might have about NetFlowCoin. But next week, I will, I've had a lot of requests for some reason about trying to explain what the blockchain is, right? I think we all kind of know what the blockchain is, but I'll kind of go in depth a little bit about what the blockchain is, but more importantly, the applicational use of the blockchain, both in the crypto world and in the real world. I say like industrial blockchains. Okay, so I'll leave it there, and thank you again for joining us on our weekly podcast. I will see you all next week.